in an inky blackness, and the moon played hide-and-seek with ominous clouds that whispered secrets only the shadows could decipher. A lone taxi prowled the desolate streets, its headlights cutting through the obscurity like a blade through silk. Inside the cab, the driver, Joe, wore a weary expression as he navigated the empty city. Joe had been a taxi driver for years, accustomed to the peculiar tales passengers spun during the witching hours. But this night was different. An unsettling tension clung to the air like an invisible fog. He couldn't shake the feeling that something lurked in the shadows, watching and waiting. The radio crackled to life with a burst of static, causing Joe to jump. He adjusted the dial, only to be greeted by an eerie voice that seemed to slither through the speakers. "Joe," it hissed, sending a shiver down his spine. "I know your secrets, Joe. I know what you've done." His hands trembled on the wheel as he scanned the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a ghostly figure haunting the back seat. The road stretched ahead, desolate and unwelcoming, the streetlights flickering ominously. Ignoring the voice, Joe continued driving, hoping to drown out the unsettling whispers with the hum of the engine. But the voice persisted, weaving a tale of his past misdeeds with unnerving accuracy. "You remember that night, Joe? The night you left someone behind?" the voice taunted. Sweat gathered on Joe's brow as memories he'd buried deep resurfaced like ghosts. His mind raced, recalling a fateful night when a desperate, disheveled woman had flagged him down. Fear had etched her face, pleading for a swift escape from an unseen terror. Yet, Joe had chosen to drive away, leaving her stranded in the darkness. The voice continued, recounting every detail of that night, each word chipping away at Joe's sanity. The cab seemed to shrink around him, the air growing heavier with guilt and regret. As Joe approached an old cemetery, the voice commanded him to stop. Against his better judgment, he pulled over by the rusted iron gates, the creaking sound echoing through the silence. The taxi's headlights illuminated crumbling tombstones and weathered mausoleums, casting eerie shadows that danced in the night breeze. A figure materialized from the darkness, a spectral silhouette with hollow eyes fixed on Joe. The voice, now emanating from the figure, spoke with an otherworldly resonance. "Joe, you abandoned me that night, left me to the darkness," the apparition moaned, its voice echoing through the graveyard. Panic gripped Joe as he recognized the face. The woman he had forsaken. She stepped closer, each step accompanied by the mournful wails of the wind. The taxi's interior seemed to warp, trapping him in a surreal nightmare. The woman's ghostly hand pressed against the window, sending ripples through the mist that clung to the glass. "You will know the darkness you left me in, Joe. You will feel the fear you inflicted upon me." The taxi's engine roared to life, the vehicle moving of its own accord. Joe's attempts to regain control were futile, as the cab ventured deeper into the heart of the cemetery. Tombstones loomed like sentinels, their shadows morphing into grotesque forms. The ghostly woman's voice melded with the wind, a haunting chorus that reverberated through Joe's soul. Memories of his callous decision replayed in vivid detail, each frame etched with the anguish he had caused. Suddenly, the taxi screeched to a halt in front of an open grave. The spectral woman pointed towards the dark abyss with an accusatory gaze. "This is where you belong, Joe. In the depths you condemned me to." The ground beneath the taxi trembled as unseen hands pulled Joe from the driver's seat. He descended into the pit, the voice and the wind merging into a cacophony of despair. The grave's gaping maw swallowed him whole, leaving only the echo of his screams lingering in the haunted air. As dawn approached, the taxi sat at the edge of the cemetery, its engine silent. The sun's first rays painted the tombstones in hues of gold, casting away the spectral darkness that had enveloped the night. The city awakened to a new day, oblivious to the horrors that had unfolded in the silent hours. The taxi, now an empty vessel, bore witness to the secrets buried in the graveyard. Its headlights dimmed, shadows retreating, as the echoes of Joe's remorse lingered in the morning breeze, a cautionary tale for those who dared to abandon others to the cold embrace of the night.